Hello everyone. Have you ever felt at certain points in your career that you were stuck or that your managers didn't understand you or didn't notice you? I can almost hear you saying yes, because almost everyone I've talked to around me has had similar experiences at some point, and I've often listened to their complaints about it. As someone who has also suffered from similar situations, I believe I have solved these problems through both my own research and the coaching and mentoring I have received, and I think I have established a system that works for me. As always, in my videos I share advice with you based on my own experiences, and in this video I will share 10 tips for those who want to advance their careers. I hope you enjoy the video. If you like it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's take a closer look at these 10 tips together. One of the topics I emphasize the most is self-awareness, my friends. Self-awareness is your ability to recognize and understand your inner world, your emotions, your thoughts, and the reactions you give to events, and therefore to become aware of your strengths and weaknesses. If you are not aware of these, you may often find yourself in a place you don't want to be, or you may not be as productive as you would like. So, what should we do to increase our self-awareness? First of all, you should listen to yourself and try to understand and observe the reactions you give to various events. For example, by setting a daily routine of a 20-minute walk, you can reflect on the moments during the day when you felt stressed or reacted in ways you didn't want, and try to understand the underlying reasons for these responses. In the same way, when you feel good or bad, you can write these situations down on a piece of paper or in a notebook, and later, after you have calmed down, read them over to examine whether your reactions were actually appropriate or not. Another thing you can do, which I also do quite often, is to get feedback from people you trust. So if there is someone you work with and whose opinions you value, and if they have witnessed these events, you can ask them whether your reaction to those events was appropriate or how it came across to them. You can ask for advice. As a result, after identifying your strengths, you shouldn't hesitate to take initiative in those areas, but for the areas where you realize you are weak, you should make plans to improve them. You should focus on them and try not to stand out too much in the areas where you are weak. Remember, no one is perfect, and all weaknesses can be overcome by focusing on them and working carefully. Secondly, the topic I want to emphasize is that you should try to be emotionally consistent. If your emotional reactions are inconsistent, it gives the impression to others that you are not ready for your next career step. Your reaction needs to remain at an acceptable level, regardless of what the other person says. Yes, I admit it. In life or at work, things don't always go the way you want. Sometimes people can be very direct. However, in professional life, you shouldn't take anything personally, and you need to respond professionally by handling any problems you encounter calmly. Stress management training can also help you understand how to respond in different situations. And just as weaknesses can be addressed, emotional consistency can also be developed through practice and preparation. Thirdly, I would recommend that you become a very good communicator. You need to make sure that people understand you and that you understand them as well. If you use short, clear but result-oriented sentences, the other party will understand you more easily. And the higher the level of the people you are speaking with, the more you need to shorten your speaking time. Additionally, explaining your topics with concrete examples and data, and visualizing complex subjects with presentations if necessary, will greatly help ensure your message is understood. Especially when speaking with people who have limited time, making efficient use of time and getting straight to the point instead of beating around the bush will be highly beneficial for you. The fourth point I want to address, and the advice I want to give, is to be a good negotiator. If you are not already acquiring this skill, and if you are, further developing it will be highly beneficial for you. Ultimately, if you can bring together people who view the same issue from different perspectives on common ground, this will set you apart in many problems you may encounter. Remember, in negotiation processes, there is never just one winner. In fact, each stakeholder should get somewhat closer to what they want, and as a result, a win-win environment should be created. And if you are able to take this kind of approach, you will be in a more advantageous position for the next role in your career. Another piece of advice I want to give is to be result-oriented and to deliver results, friends. If you are constantly making promises like, we will do this, we will do that, if this happens, then that will happen, if that happens, then this will happen, but you never actually achieve results, unfortunately, this will somewhat block your upward path. However, If you can not only talk about things but also deliver results, this will also serve as an inspiration to the people who work with you. If you are already managing a team, instead of just making demands and expecting things from them, fighting alongside them to achieve results, also shows that you are providing good leadership to your team. At the same time, it also increases the respect people have for you, and by creating a multiplier effect among your team members who learn by observing you, it significantly accelerates your achievement of results. Sixth, the advice I want to give is to use your time effectively and invest a little in productivity tools. In today's working conditions, many of our calendars are automatically filled with meetings scheduled by others, and we've almost lost control over our own time. Unfortunately, if others are directing your time, your chances of completing your work effectively are greatly reduced. For this reason, you need to take control of your time. No one will want to give more responsibility to someone who cannot manage their own time. For this reason, I recommend that you improve yourself by taking time management courses, set aside time to prioritize before starting tasks, and invest a bit in productivity tools to make these tasks easier for yourself. At the point where artificial intelligence has reached today, there are many applications available to help us manage our daily tasks. If you research these and look into project management or note-taking tools online, I am sure you will reach a point where you can make your work easier, track things more comfortably, and plan your time better. The seventh piece of advice I want to give is to improve your financial literacy. At the very least, having enough literacy to read the financials of your own company and your biggest clients will set you apart in terms of understanding company's current performance and interpreting future expectations. You may not need this knowledge in your current position, but as you move closer to management levels, being proficient in these matters and being able to comment on them will make things easier, both for managing your own work and for communicating with other stakeholders in management. Another important point I see is developing the ability to represent. Yes, perhaps in our daily tasks there may not be a need to represent anything, but when these opportunities arise from time to time, when you need to give a speech in front of an audience, or represent your team or the company at a dinner or a conference, you need to know what to wear, what to say, and how to behave in those situations. At the very least, you need to have prepared for this, to have built some foundation. Because environments like these signal to others that you are ready to take on more responsibility. If you go into these situations unprepared or fail to represent at the expected level, then this can slow you down a bit on your path to the next step in your career. My ninth piece of advice is to learn how to give constructive criticism and to stay away from destructive criticism. Of course, not everyone always has to agree. However, when expressing our opinions about an idea we don't like, we need to do so constructively. Otherwise, people who constantly criticize always express their dissatisfaction, always complain, and are never satisfied with any outcome are seen as problematic by management. And if you maintain such an attitude for a long time, it will be assumed that this is a part of your character. And as you can appreciate, no one wants a problematic person around them. This, once again, slows you down on your path to the next step in your career. Therefore, of course, if you are not satisfied with something, express your dissatisfaction. However, when making your comments or criticisms, being constructive by explaining how you can improve the current situation, how you can learn from mistakes if there are any, and what measures you can take to prevent the same problems from happening again, will elevate you in the eyes of others and make you appear much more professional. The 10th and final piece of advice I want to give is to be humble, friends. No matter how well you do a job, learn to use we instead of I. Don't keep saying I all the time, say we. Use a more inclusive, more unifying language. Keep working hard in a way that deserves recognition, but let your colleagues or managers give you the credit. Ego and arrogance are the biggest obstacles blocking people's path forward in their careers. Try to remove these obstacles as soon as possible. Being humble won't cost you anything. On the contrary, your humility will be appreciated even more by others and will add to your charisma. These 10 topics, which I briefly mentioned here in one go, actually include the things I have observed and learned throughout my 17 or 18-year career, whether through experience, research, or training. Of course, each of them could actually be a separate video topic. Maybe one day we'll make those as well. Of course, everything happens by being earned. Some people, yes, can be very lucky and advance quickly in their careers, but my philosophy is to earn everything by deserving it, to achieve things through hard work. So keep putting in the effort and keep working. Also, work on improving yourself regarding the things I mentioned and pay attention to them. Don't rush anything. Rest assured, when you're ready, those opportunities will come to you and you'll be able to seize them and reach the positions and roles you desire. That's all from me for now. Thank you for watching the video. See you in the next content.